When you talk po kasi about the environmental movement in the Philippines, right now you could say that it's in the popularizing stage. So what this means is exhaustion po talaga in all means in order to get our voices, our advocacies, our calls for climate justice out there. Recently nga po, I think you've heard of the global climate strike that was heard, so we were able to invite and mobilize hundreds of people from around the Philippines across multiple sectors in a youth-led strike nga po, in order to register and amplify each other's calls for climate justice. Yeah.
Okay, now youth-led strike.
Yes.
Did I hear that correctly? Youth-led strike. Now, that is what Greta Thunberg and her classmates started in her country. But what about you ladies? Pats, for instance. Pats, how active are Filipinos nowadays?
Actually, just a look back, no, historically sa Philippines. No,
Yeah.
what's special about the Philippines and the youth movement in the Philippines is that even before Europe and the US were striking about the climate, about the environment, and even socio-political issues, very rich na po yung youth movement in the Philippines. We are already talking about, students' rights, as basic as students' rights, as basic as, in the youth involving with the issue of the peasants and
Yeah.
human rights, etc.
Yeah.
So that's what's beautiful about the Philippines. Because, kumbaga, hinog na yung students.
But I think
of
the
youth.
problem and the problem here is anything that the youth has done in this country has always been given a political color
Yeah.
or a political association. The unique thing about what Greta did and that young girl from Pakistan who was for women's rights, wala silang politics eh. Sa kanila, they're neither green or red or mainstream. To them, this is our future. And will we ever see a time when young people like you will be recognized, and those following you will be recognized as young people doing a thing, doing something about the problem, and not because they have been affected or politicized or politically colored?
If I may, that's actually something that's already been happening. If we look at the youth, our youth farmers and our youth indigenous people, they are at the front line of defending the environment, even before the students who were, as you say, may have been politicized. These people, they experience it firsthand, so it's not something about politics, but it's something that it's a material condition, it's their everyday reality,
Yeah.
and that is why they're at the forefront. So these non-politicized environmental activists, youth environmental activists, have been here for the longest time, but they're always the ones that are being red tagged or militarized or
Yeah.
displaced from their homes. And instead of hearing out their call, their genuine call to save the earth and to save their land, it's tagged as something as political because they're not someone that since they are indigenous people, they are very different also
Yeah.
from us, so they're not as easily understandable.
Yeah, but Mitzi, here's the thing. The reason I was talking in that perspective is because it's usually the left-leaning, activist type of young people. I mean, in my time, UP was the starter of all things political or in criticizing. But the distinction here is with Greta, it's us young people versus you old people who've done nothing. I understand what you guys have been doing in your organizations, etc. But how are the young people now? Yung hindi nyo members, yung people who have no alliances.
Actually, the climate strike that happened last Friday, that all three of our orgs helped organize,
Yeah.
Around 600 people came, and that was the largest in the Philippines ever, the climate strike.
Yeah.
And those were people from all types of schools, some had no affiliations, some had no organizations, and they were really just genuine about the call for climate justice. And these
Yeah.
people, these youth people, and not just youth, we were also joined by international members, and we were also joined by the Climate Change Commission, and we were also joined by different organizations that all just believe that we need to act to save the earth.